What's happening, APLers? Here with the Week 6 review. Week 6 is pretty fun. A lot of fun matchups this week and fun endings to the games and a lot of trash talk, which made it fun as well. So we'll run through the results here and talk about how things look going forward. So first matchup is Greg and Jake. So Jake comes out with a win here, 979 to 742. Jake's Lamar Jackson leads the way for Jake. That's what I was trying to say there. So 393 from Lamar. He's the number one quarterback in APL, number one point scorer. And Lamar does it this week with only one touchdown, over 300 yards passing, 40 yards rushing. He's just been unstoppable in that offense. So he gets a big chunk of the points here for Jake. And other than that, we have a kicker. Austin Seibert looks like a really nice pickup. He kicks 3 field goals, a 42, 55, and a 49-yarder to get to the 146. The defense is strong. The 3 defenders outscored the 3 receivers. It's pretty good, but that's what happened. So looking at the running backs, Rico Dowdle gets 60. He's in a mess of a game, or shouldn't say game, the offensive mess that the Cowboys were in this week. So 60 points, a bunch of that on, well, a little over half of it is on just dump off passes from Dak because he had no time to do anything other than that. And Kamara gets, I'd say, shut down a little bit by the Bucks. Maybe that's with the quarterback change. They can focus on him a little bit more, but 89 points is, I think, his first game under 100 so far this season. Still, oh no, last week he was under 100 too. So still involved quite a bit, just not quite as effective this week. The receivers, the previously mentioned receivers, were not great. Keon Coleman does not a lot tonight. 3 catches for 26 yards. Christian Kirk, also 3 catches, 39 yards. And then Jalen Tolbert, again, in the Dallas offense, which just wasn't a good thing to be in this week, gets 47 points. Freiermuth, 2 catches for 16 yards. It's not great. So 979 is the total for Jake, and it's enough to get it done against Greg. So we talked a little bit on Greg's run through here. Talked a little bit about Purdy on Thursday. He looked really good. Had the big 76-yard touchdown to Debo to make up a big chunk of that 352. Other than that, there's just not a lot of great stuff here, and probably a bunch of bad luck for Greg too. So you get James Conner in a really good matchup against the Packers, and only musters 40 points. It's just kind of a bummer. Connor's been really good so far this year. The Packers matchup looked good, and only 7 carries, 4 catches, had a fumble. Just a rough week. Jerome Ford gets hurt early in the game, so it explains his 14-point total against the Eagles. Ayuk and JSN went on Thursday and overall weren't great. Odunze plays against the Jags. Jags give up a fair amount of passing yards and touchdowns, but they're just not to Odunze this week. So only had 2 catches for 40 yards, and I probably would have started Shaheed over Odunze this week, and Shaheed only had 34. So Greg did have Josh Downs on the bench with 92, so maybe that's a thing with Flacco in there, but it wouldn't have made a difference. Maybe good news at tight end for Greg is that Mark Andrews appears to be alive. He had 3 catches this week for 66 yards and a touchdown too. So Andrews put up 155, so maybe that's a bright spot going forward for Greg. Kate Otten, not super involved in the offense, only had 2 catches and had a touchdown late, which helped DFS guys who had him as a tight end of the week. Defense is fine, but 742 is the total for the week. So Jake moves on with the 237-point win. He moves to 5-1, and Greg drops to 0-6. So next matchup is me and Tank. We did not set the world on fire scoring points this week at all. So looking at my roster or my run up for the week, the defense is awful. CJ Mosley was not the starter. I picked up Devin Bush, and that was just an outstanding start there for 15 whole points. Dak just looks bad, but didn't have a lot of time to pass the ball like at all. Lions were on him immediately. So 176 points in that game is a huge letdown. I was hoping that was going to be a huge shootout and a big number for Dak, so it does not come through. Marvin Harrison smashes his head on a Packers defender's thigh and gets concussed and leaves the game in the second quarter. And gets a 0 there. So those are the negatives. The roster. The rest of it is fine. Pollard looked good against the Colts. Probably helped a little bit with Tajay Spears getting banged up and leaving the game early. But he goes over 100. Tyrone Tracy looked fairly fun last night for the Giants. I guess as fun as you can look on the Giants roster if your name isn't Malik Neighbors. But really involved in the pass game and puts up 133. And then London was good this week from the not super pass heavy Falcons offense. Still gets 6 or 7 catches, 6 catches and a touchdown. And Jameson Williams looks fun and was involved all over the place. Dropped maybe another touchdown that just took his eyes off it before he started running with the ball. But just worry about his overall volume. But fun when he touches the ball. Trey McBride was really fun this week. Caught tons of passes from Kyler, and 200 points is a good week for the tight end. And then Fairbairn kicks 2 field goals in the second half, missed one in the first half to get back up to 100 for the week. So 994 is the total, and sneaks by the win over Tank. Tank also had a fair amount of injuries. So James Cook gets the start, and he was questionable going into the game tonight. But Tank was kind of in a tough spot. So he had Charbonnet go on Thursday. So that's roster spots locked up. Kyron's on bye. Can't drop him. And then he had Rashad White in the starting lineup to start the week, but Rashad White ends up not playing, and James Cook ends up not playing. He's got the IR kind of full. Probably could have made some moves to get Ray Davis in the lineup, but didn't. And Ray Davis would have made it really interesting. Would have had like a Ryan and Corey type margin of victory here. But James Cook doesn't play, gets a 0. Tajay Spears gets banged up in only 27. And then Kaiser White also left early, which explains his 6 points for the week. So looking at the rest of the guys, Gino, as we talked about on Thursday, had a really nice game. Lots of points in mop-up duty or trying to come from behind to win. Maybe not mop-up duty. That's incorrect. I think I said that earlier too this week. But Zay Flowers was catching everything in the first half. Of his 143 points, he might have had 130 of them in the first half. He was catching like every pass that Lamar threw. It looked really fun. CD caught up in the Dallas offense, puts up 98 points, which is fine. Just hoping for more than that from CD and what really seemed like a really huge spot for CD this week. Just a great matchup, and 98 points is fine, but just down. The Packer guys didn't do much here. You get Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs back, and that pushes the target volume out or spreads it out to more guys. So Jaden Reed got off to a hot start, had a touchdown early, heavily involved, and just kind of that was it. So 54 is where he ends up, and then Tucker Kraft. I think that might be some of that target volume just getting dispersed amongst all the guys. Only has 2 catches for 13 yards and a rush for 2. So kicker, Folk was a pickup with Moody getting hurt, so he kicked a 44-yarder and a couple extra points, and then the defenses Edwards and Wagner. So 833 from Tank. I think Tank said today my whole team didn't show up this week. It's pretty much just Zay Flowers and Gino. So sneak out a win and move to 3-3. Tank drops a 2. All right, next matchup. These are the big boys. Sade and Daggy put up really nice point totals this week. So Sade comes out with a win, 1259 to 1145. Run through Sade's guys here. CJ Stroud at 269 against the Patriots. I think what I talked about in the preview actually happened where they did not need to pass much in the second half, so that limited Stroud's point total, and they were running the ball really well too. So no need for Stroud to do his thing. He did have 3 touchdowns, which helps get to the 269 when he was under 200 yards passing in this one. But the Stroud lower total game gets picked up by the rest of the roster. So you get Derrick Henry at 172. He's the number one running back by over 100 points. in our scoring system right now. It just looks unstoppable in that offense. So the Commanders stood no chance. 2 touchdowns here, 132 yards for Henry. Bijan, really nice game. Another 2 touchdowns for him as well. I think so they put it just be more fun. Just would like him to look more dynamic. I feel like he's super fun to watch, but can't complain about the 148 points. Today also has DeAndre Swift on the bench, who had 143. He had like 142 last week and like 160 some or whatever the week before it. That so must be nice to be able to leave a 140 plus point guy on the bench for the last 3 weeks. Wide receiver McLaurin, 2 touchdowns again. Seems to be the theme here for today's team. Looks to be rejuvenated with Jaden Daniels at quarterback. Tebow had the big 76-yarder. That is the majority of his points there. And Brian Thomas had an off game against a tough Bears secondary, and Jags offense that didn't look like it could do much. Laporta gets 1 catch for 52 yards. Touchdown. Turns into 125 points. Believe the text from Daggy after that play happened was fuck, and then said that locked up the win for today, which it may have. I mean, City won by 114. That one play has 125 points, so maybe that was right. Tucker kicks 3 field goals, 45-yarder, 32-yarder, and a 39-yarder. And the defense is really good. Watt and Warner have to be the top 2 guys at IDP. So City continues to have a really tough roster to beat. You can just get scoring from everywhere. Puts up a big number with 1259. Daggy puts up 1145, which is the second highest total for the week. And just a tough matchup for him here. Jaden Daniels continues to be good. Ravens pass defense isn't super scary, but still impressive for 355 and keeping up with one of the better teams in the league. Saquon at 56 is just a letdown. He had 18 carries. Just the Eagles offense wasn't super electric against the Browns coming off the bye week, which is what people were hoping for after the Browns got lit up last week. So bit of an off week for Saquon. But the good news for Daggy is Brees is back. So after 2 weeks of underperforming in the 30, 40 point area, Brees was fun tonight and had 113 yards and then caught 5 passes for 56 yards. So that's what you're looking for from the number 3 draft pick. So good signs for Brees going forward. Evans did get locked up with Marshawn Lattimore, and he again pretty much shut him down. He only had 2 catches for 34 yards. DK kind of talked about could have had a huge game, and then Amon-Ra just wasn't needed to do his thing because the Lions could run the ball all over the Cowboys all day long. Dalton Schultz is incorrect here. This is Evan Ingram, who had 204 points, and he's back. Great news for Daggy. He had 10 catches and 102 yards. It did lose a fumble, but who cares? 204 points for Evan Ingram was good to see, and a really good sign for Daggy. Aubrey continues to rip field goals despite the Dallas offense being terrible. So he had a 34-yarder, 50 or 47-yarder, and a 50-yarder. And his 50-yarder just looks like an extra point. It's looks really easy for him. Defense just a step down from today, but 1145, really good number for Daggy. Just a tough matchup again. So today comes out with the win and moves in 5-1, and Daggy drops 2-3-3. All right. Next matchup is the one that came down to the wire tonight. So Ryan versus Corey. Corey sneaks out a 6-point win as Josh Allen comes up just short tonight. So Allen goes for 312. Looks a little bit more like the Josh Allen that we're used to. Just didn't need to do more because the Jets couldn't make field goals and had a lot of penalties. Otherwise, maybe that's a bigger number for Allen. Running back is a little bit surprising for Ryan here. So Bigsby just gets 24 points, 7 carries for 24 yards. He got outsnapped heavily by D'Ernest Johnson. They just didn't trust Bigsby in the pass game when ETN went out. So Bigsby was hyped after his big week 2 weeks ago, and fairly surprising underperformance here. Roshan Johnson was not the start here. This was switched to Zach Moss, who again surprisingly only mustered 6 points in that matchup. So he had 6 carries for 13 yards, caught a pass for 2 yards, and lost a fumble. So Chase Brown may be taking over that backfield, but you'd still expect more than 6 out of Zach Moss against the Giants, who we're collectively not that great at defense. Wide receivers are a good spot here for Ryan. Jamar Chase gets 77. Again, probably hoping for more out of Chase here, but he had like one pass. That's probably a majority of that, where they just kind of chucked it up to him and makes a play. Godwin was fun. So Evans gets locked up a little bit, and Godwin goes nuts. So catches 11 passes, 125 yards, including 2 touchdowns, a 4-yarder and a 55-yarder. Back to his big numbers from weeks 2 and 3, or weeks 1 and 2 after some weeks just in the 70s. But Godwin looks like really, really solid this year overall. Alec Pierce, not the start here either. I missed these guys when I was adding in the point total. So Deontay Johnson comes in instead of Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce had an air ball this week with 0 points, and Deontay Johnson just looks solid with Andy Dalton at quarterback. So 6 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown for 104. Ferguson caught up in the shitbag game from the Cowboys offense. Only catches 3 passes for 11 yards. He had a few jump ball contested catches that he didn't come down with. That could have been better, but overall, just that offense couldn't move the ball. Strong game. The kicker with 109. He had 3 field goals. It's the 20-yarder, 33-yarder. Point total is a little lower than some of the other guys with 3 field goals. Aiden Hutchinson snaps his leg on a play where he sacked Dak. Maybe there's some more points there, and Kyle Van Noy just doesn't make the big plays that he has been making there in defense. So 885 is the Ryan total for the week. Corey gets 891. The headline here is AJ Brown's return, 142 points. He had a really nice touchdown catch and then a longer pass to kind of seal the game for the Eagles there too. He just goes downfield and makes a play that not a lot of guys in the league are going to make. It was fun. But looking at the rest of the roster, Kirk does fine as the Mahomes fill-in. They didn't need to pass a ton versus the Panthers, so 259 is a total from Kirk. Eckler gets involved in the pass game against the Ravens, but doesn't do much on the ground for 92 or 72. Sorry, and Josh Jacobs with 93, just another solid, good, not great game from Jacobs. You're hoping to mix in more than 1 touchdown through 6 games for Josh Jacobs. He's been all right. Probably not quite what you're hoping for, but he's been fine. Mooney cools off a little bit with only 3 catches this week, 3 for 38, and then DJ Moore cools off a lot with 4 catches for 20 yards there in a game that seemed like a lot better matchup. Kittle, excellent on Thursday night. Really helps Corey get the win here this week. McPherson is fine. The defense, not great, but doesn't matter. Corey moves to 4-2. Ryan drops to 2-4. And the fun final matchup of the week here, we get the super team versus Solomon. There was a lot of trash talk between these two, and it was excellent. Very fun. Like Solomon said, I wish I could play this guy every week. And this guy meaning Kevin. So maybe we could arrange that. It'd be kind of fun. But the super team gets just 302 from Joe Burrow. He had a huge 40-something yard touchdown run to start the game. And then just really nothing happened with the Bengals offense for the rest of the game. So 302, not great, not terrible. The running backs I talked about in the preview show, but Mason gets hurt, and then Ken Walker gets a bunch of garbage wrap-up time or garbage duty there. Question starting Walker over Jahmyr Gibbs. Gibbs only had 94, so pretty much a wash between Walker and Gibbs. Maybe Montgomery was the play where he had 121. Wide receiver Higgins, it's fine. Again, probably hoping for more from the Bengals against the Giants, but 84 is fine. 7 for 77 there. Olave gets knocked out of the game early with the concussion, so he gets a -4 on that one. I think he catches his pass and gets knocked out and fumbles, so gets a -10 for the fumble. Devonta had a nice 45-yard touchdown that was like pretty much uncontested there, but otherwise Eagles didn't pass a ton to make him have a bigger week. Brock Bowers continues to be unstoppable. 9 catches for 71 yards, 151 points there is really good. And the young Ho kicks 3 field goals. Two of them, or all of them, were shorter for to get to 102. He's been solid at kicker there. The defense is not dominant, but good enough. On the Solomon side of the ball, so that gives us 990 for the super team. You'd think the super team would be over 1,000 every week, but you know, it doesn't happen all the time. And Solomon makes some fun choices here that end up paying off. So Jordan Love does his thing. 4 touchdowns, 258 yards passing, rushes a little bit too for 13 yards, put up 363. So that's the kind of number that Solomon needs. Antonio Gibson does very little with the starting opportunity there as the Patriots running back, so 46. Chuba continues to be excellent for the Panthers. Maybe a bright spot in that offense. So he's been over 100 points the last 4 weeks in a row. And, it's been good. Diggs takes advantage of being the main guy in the offense with 6 catches for 77 yards and a touchdown. Christian Watson catches a deep ball for 44. And I think that is one of the bold starts of the week there was he swapped Romeo Doubs out, Christian Watson in. It makes a big difference. Garrett Wilson looks alive again. 135 points this week, 8 catches on Monday night for 107 and a touchdown. Hunter Henry is the other big start here. So Solomon had Tyler Conklin in the lineup and switches to Hunter Henry, who gets 3 for 41 and a touchdown, 105 points. So it's a nice pickup off of the waiver wire, right into the lineup, and no win. So I'm trying to find the Tyler Conklin stat line for the week and struggling right now to see what he did. Get there faster. Conklin at 22. So yeah, it makes a difference in this matchup. So Solomon, Tyler Bass doesn't do anything. Defenses, Quay Walker, and that's about it. Xavier McKinney doesn't have a pick for the first time in a really long time, 5 or 6 games. So Christian Watson, Hunter Henry propel Solomon to the victory there. So super team goes down. Solomon moves to 2-4, super team to 4-2. So look at the award stuff for the week. Highlights and Chris Godwin stuff. So weekly top scorers were Lamar at quarterback, Brees at running back, Godwin, the wide receiver, and Ingram at tight end. The worst scorers, Dak was a quarterback with 176, James Cook. Worst running back was 0, Olave with a -4, and Ferguson with 25. Look at the awards for the week here. MVP, it was tough. Nobody really stood out. So I'll go Jordan Love. It was a big performance for Solomon, and that allowed him to get the win, the 363 from the quarterback spot. Router of the week went with Zach Moss for Ryan. You're just expecting more than 6 points from Zach Moss in a good matchup on an offense that should be fun. So quite unexpected. The no shit award is it couldn't limit it to just Christian Watson or just Hunter Henry. I think both of them have to be in the mix there for Solomon. So pretty gutsy to start both those guys, and it works out. Wouldn't have done that. Maybe James Cook for Tank. Probably could have found a way to get somebody on the roster to be in the place of Cook tonight if he was ruled out. I should have started. There's nobody that really stood out here either. I just took Mixon. Mixon had 174 on the IR, and I just didn't think that he'd be used that much or be that effective against the Patriots. And then the Shamrock Award goes to Daggy. Right? I already talked about that, but second highest score of the week, second time Daggy's on this list for the season too. So, all right, little look at the standings and then a preview to week 7. So over in our division, the super team and Corey are both 4-2. Me and Daggy are both tied up at 3-3. And Greg has got the 0-6 there, but his run starts this week. Over in the other division, Jake and Sade tied up at 5-1 atop the division, and then everybody else is locked in at 2-4. So at this point, it looks like those 3 guys are fighting for one spot, and Jake and Sade are looking good, but there's a lot of football left, as I've been told. So Week 7 matchups are pretty fun. The super team takes on Corey. So we are going to have somebody in the lead of the division here after this week, and be fun to see who it is. So a Corey win, it would even up the division record there and help his tiebreaker long term. And the super team can establish their superiority. They can get a win here. I battle Greg, so I'm fully expecting Greg to move to 1-6 on the year after our matchup this week. Over in the other division, again, the 1 versus 2 matchup. So Sade and Jake go head to head. So we'll see if Sade can continue his hot start here with 1190 as his average points for the week. And the other matchup in that division, we have Ryan and Tank at 2-4. So it's a good one too for the division records and for the tie breaks. And then the out of the division matchups here, we have Daggy versus Solomon. So maybe the trash talk will be good in that one too. But I think a pretty important game for both of those guys as well. So I think the matchups are pretty fun. Looking forward to see how everything plays out. So weekly preview, maybe iffy this week. We're going up to Duluth for the weekend and getting back on Saturday. So we'll see how it works out. Try to do it. If not, sorry about that. But that's all I got. Talk to you guys later.